Hey everyone, Jonathan Bailor back. Very, very excited about today's show because we have an individual who gives us just an amazing story of and an example of these diabolical calorie myths that we've had stuffed down our throats for the past 50 years. He said, you know what, enough of this. He's going to smash these myths. He's going to smash the fat, and he is going to consume. Well, I'll let him tell you about his story, but let's just say that he is a great guy. He's the proprietor of the wonderful website and one of the UK's fastest growing fitness franchises, Smash the Fat. You can learn more about him at smashthefat.com. Sam Feltham, welcome to the show, brother.
Woo! Happy to be here, John.
And Sam, did I get your last name correct?
Feltham, yes.
Feltham, okay, yes. Got it basically right. Well, Sam, to get us started, please tell us a bit about what inspired you to do these two wonderful, let's call them experiments, and then tell us about the experiments themselves.
So similar to you, John, I've done a lot of research in the health and fitness arena and what the most effective exercises are, what the most effective diets are for helping people lose weight and be healthy. And there's so much research out there that's telling us or giving us clues as to what is the most effective system. But I felt like there are still some naysayers out there that feel like that it's not compelling evidence quite yet. So I thought I'd come up with these 5,000 calorie experiments or what are called overfeeding experiments. So back in June, I ate 5,794 calories of every single day of a high fat, low carb diet of real foods. Now, during that experiment, despite being in a 56,000 calorie surplus over 3 weeks, I only gained just shy of 3 pounds, but I actually lost an inch off of my waist. So yeah, QED, right? But then,
so Sam, I want to keep going with the numbers, but just to make sure the listeners caught that, you did gain weight. But it sounds like you didn't gain fat, from my understanding.
No, not necessarily. It was most possibly a little bit of muscle. We're not sure. But also probably because of the pure quantity of food, could have been a bit of backing up, let's say.
Well, but you did shrink, like your waist was smaller.
Yeah, precisely. So my waist actually shrunk by just over an inch. So, So despite being in such a calorie surplus, I did get slimmer.
Amazing. And that was what, can you tell us a little bit? So it was higher fat, lower carbohydrate type diet, but what were the types of foods you were consuming?
So they'd be types of foods that you'd call sane foods. So it was eggs and salmon for breakfast, along with some spinach, and then nuts for snacks through the day. But then for lunch, it'd be mackerel and green beans, and then in the evening, it'd be steak and broccoli. And again, I'd sort of have nuts in between all of those meals, and including in the evening as well.
And so you were using, it sounds like, healthy fats to drive up your caloric intake.
Oh, yeah, big time. So because fat is the most calorific macronutrient that we've got, it's actually relatively easy to put it up there. People always say, how can you eat so many calories of real food? But real food is generally full fat, and fat is the most calorific nutrient. So again, it sort of brings down their argument a little bit, but hey.
But it also shows how dangerous it can be to get caught up in these calorie myths, because if a natural food has fat in it and we're afraid of calories, then our first inclination is to change it or modify it in some way, or just avoid it completely in favor of maybe like 100-calorie Oreo snack pack.
Precisely. And all of these sugary foods can claim that they're 0% fat. And that's a great health claim and a great marketing ploy for food companies. But as you and I know, that isn't probably the best diet that we can be on.
Well, Sam, you know what else is low calorie and in fact 100% fat free?
Go on.
Heroin.
Woo! The heroin diet. Yeah.
No, and ironically, it's actually been shown to be potentially less addictive than sugar in many studies. So, Sam, that was your first experiment, was this caloric surplus experiment, eating sane foods. Didn't you do a second one?
Yes, I've just finished my second one, which was pretty much doing the exact opposite. So high carb, low fat, but of fake food. So primarily sugar and refined carbohydrates. So I'd be having a well-known cereal brand with skim milk for breakfast in the morning, along with some jam and crumpets. And then my mid-morning snack would be these mini pizzas along with a can of cola. and then for lunch it'd be whole wheat sandwiches along with some chocolate muffins, and then in the afternoon it'd be crisps, which are chips, and reduced fat rice pudding, and again a can of cola, then lasagna and garlic bread in the evening, and then of course some 0% fat yogurt, because we know how unfattening 0% fat yogurt is.
So, Sam, how many calories are you taking in per day of your healthy, low-fat, well-balanced diet there?
5,793 calories. So I gave it 1 calorie less to give it a bit of a fighting chance.
And what were the results after? This was for 21 days?
Yeah, this was exact same amount of time, 21 days, did exactly the same amount of exercise as I did from the previous one. And I ended up putting on just shy of 16 pounds.
Wow.
And put on, exactly. And I put on 3 inches around my waist, or 3.5 inches, in fact, around my waist as well. So it's quite a difference between the two.
Sam, that's amazing. On 2 levels. One, obviously consuming about the same number of calories, very, very close, at least as close to as any human could estimate. Keeping exercise the same. I would assume you were trying to keep sleep the same, keeping everything else the same. Mm-hmm. You saw a dramatic difference in the amount and type of weight gain. So that was conclusion number 1. Conclusion number 2 is, in both instances, though, ironically, in neither instance did you gain as much weight as you should have, according to the standard calorie math we're all taught.
So the standard calorie formula predicted at both experiments that I put on approximately 15.5 pounds, although for the first one it was more like 16 pounds. And then for this second one, it was 15.5 pounds, because I ended up, over the few months break that I had, I actually put on 3 kilograms of muscle, or about 6.5 pounds of muscle during that time. So that actually lifted up my BMR. And so, the second experiment actually under-predicted the amount of weight that I put on. So I put on more than the calorie formula said I would. And then obviously in the first one, it's seriously under-predicted, around about 12 pounds less.
And Sam, what I know you're super active in the internet nutrition community, let's call it. And I know there's obviously folks that are anti-calorie myths like you and I. They want us to focus on food, want us to focus our brains on contributing to the planet rather than doing metabolic math all day. But there are still those flat earth believers out there that think it's just a calorie is a calorie. What were their reactions to your experiment?
They really tried to nitpick at it, and rightly so. I encourage everybody to try and nitpick at it, and that's the process of science, is trying to question it and see if your logic can sort of supersede someone else's logic. And some of the things where protein content wasn't quite the same, fiber content wasn't the same. I lied. Was a lot of the objections, just flat out, you're a liar. That's it, just not accepting it at all. And anybody that knows me personally would probably argue to that, saying that I'm possibly one of the most honest people that they know, but I don't know. But anyway, once I have actually worked out all of this, the difference in the thermic effect of protein, the fiber content, and there was actually a third more fiber in this past experiment that I just did. actually. So there was more fiber in it. And once you work out all of those variables, it turns out that there's a difference of 63 calories between the two. So it turns out that my calorie surplus in the first one, the low carb, high fat of real foods, was 47,175. And then this past experiment, the carb experiment, it was a surplus of 47,238 calories. So there's actually more of a calorie surplus in the carb one, despite there being a little less protein and things like this. And yeah, just a difference of 63 calories, basically. So, you know, the arguments sort of fall down a little bit, but, you know, people are always just going to say that flat out you're a liar.
Well, and I'm just curious as to why do you think they do that, Sam? I mean, if you've demonstrated here that individuals can just eat food when they're hungry, stop when they're full, and then live the life we're all meant to live, which is spent doing things that don't involve counting calories and monitoring the treadmill, right? I don't think any of us were put here to do that. We're put here to do different things. So why would anyone dissuade someone from eating this way?
I'm just going to say one thing. Haters going to hate, players going to play. You know, that's pretty much it, really. Unfortunately, there are people out there that just feel like they just want to destroy the world almost. I mean, I know that sounds quite crazy, but just some people just don't want to see people succeed.
Well, and Sam, I think that it doesn't sound crazy at all, because anytime an individual, I mean, when I look at your experiment, just taking off my science hat for a second, I say, wow, like Sam has found an approach that works amazingly well for him. He can basically eat ad libitum, which in the scientific community means restricted, and he will not gain fat. In fact, he'll shrink down. So for anyone, and I would assume your blood lipids were all doing well, that all your health markers were doing well, for anyone to discourage, like you found something that worked for you, and there's plenty of science to support it. So anyone who would criticize that, to me, is not interested in helping people live better. They're interested in being right. And like, that's why wars get started. I don't understand that logic.
Yeah. It's some serious cognitive dissonance, and just, I don't know, just some people just want to see the world burn, as they say in the Batman series. Well,
and Sam, you and I want to see fat burn. So that's the big difference there.
Precisely. And, you know, I'm always willing to listen to someone. I try to listen to what someone says rather than read all the letters after their name, really. That's the most important thing that we can do, is to listen to someone, see what they have to say, look at what they're saying, see if it makes sense, instead of sort of looking at their formal qualifications and things like that. Although, you know, these things sort of do matter to a certain extent, but then also the most important thing that you can do is to listen, and listen to yourself as well, and to your own intuition.
That's brilliant, Sam. Well, what is next for you? I mean, you've done these experiments. Are you going to continue doing this self-experimentation, or are you found the happy path that you're just going to continue to eat smarter for the rest of your life?
Well, I'll definitely try and continue to eat smarter, but over the past 21 days, so it's 42 days ago that I started that 5,000 calorie carb experiment, but the past 21 days I've been doing this fake food rehab diet where I've been eating at calorie maintenance, so approximately 3,500 calories every single day, but again of a low carb, high fat diet of real foods, and I've tried to maintain the weight that I put on originally. But then over these past 21 days, I've lost 5.5 kilos, which is about 11 pounds. So I haven't lost it all of the weight that I've put on, and all of my biomarkers have nearly got back to where I started from. So I've carried on doing the self-experimenting from there. But in January 2014, I'm going to be doing another 5,000 calorie experiment, again of a high carb, low fat diet, but with real foods. So it will be rice, sweet potato, lentils, beans, things like that, and seeing if real foods make a difference in a high carb diet.
Fascinating, Sam. I really like this, and I continue to support everything that you're doing. And where can folks learn more about you, your future experiments, and the more mundane things in your life?
Absolutely. So best place to go is to our website and blog, which is smashthefat.com/live. And then you can go through to all of the experiments and loads of other videos and things like that. That'll link you up to the YouTube channel as well. But then if you want to ask me questions directly or just sort of follow my day-to-day life, you can go follow me on Twitter at Sam Feltham as well.
Sam, I think we need to get the Sam Cam, which is like a little helmet you wear that just shoots a little webcam onto your face and follows you around all day. Because you seem like like you said, you're honest. I mean, you're an open book. So I think that's your next experiment should be the Sam Cam that just follows you around every day for a week, 24/7. It's like the Truman Show.
I love that Sam Cam. That's going to be the next show on the YouTube channel. Definitely, John. Thanks for that suggestion, bud.
My pleasure, brother. Well, folks, please do check out Sam's work. It's awesome. And the thing that I love about Sam more than anything else is he's willing to walk the talk, right? People out there can be saying all these things. Then you ask them, well, what do you actually do? Okay.
yeah, pretty much, and I truly do try to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. As you say, there are a lot of people that do just talk the talk and they don't really sort of open up their lives to what they're actually doing themselves. And I try and do that as much as I can because, as you say, John, I try to be as honest as I can.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this wonderful chat with our brilliant guest today, Sam Feltham. As I have, Sam, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, John. And just remember, smash it out.
I love it. Listeners, remember, as Sam said, smash it out, eat smarter, exercise smarter, and live better. Chat with you soon.